Hello dear students, I am Dr. Garima Srivastava from Lal Bahadur Shastri College, Lucknow. Now moving ahead in our series of human resource and IR issues in the MNCs, we are moving ahead in the topic, and topic of labor relations is taken in this particular lecture. Now we have already discussed the different HR issues that come up for the MNCs when they are when they are globalizing, when they are expanding in the host country, and they need to take up for the employees. Now over here we are going to talk about different labor relations and its impact on the MNCs, and what are the various issues these labor relations create for the MNCs. Now when we talk about labor relations, it is referred to the relationship between employer employee in the industry, and political decisions and laws that affect it. Now talking about labor relations is not that simple as talking about relationship between employer and employee. When talking about relationship between employer and employee, it is a complex process, because employers have their own certain demands related to productivity and efficiency, while employees have their own certain demands which may be related to wages, which may be related to various productivity, efficiency. They may be related to health issues, safety issues within the organization. They may also be related to various political rules and regulations that are implied on all the organizations, and laws that affect these particular factors. Now when we talk about international context, when we talk about different host country, international labor laws cannot be overlooked. When we talk about international labor laws, like your national labor laws, there are certain laws which are related to employees and the labor in the host country also. When the organization is working through subsidiaries in the host country, these labor laws come into play. Ignorance of these laws may land an organization into penalties, into different compensations that they need to pay to their employees. So it is important that the human resource department is all aware about the various labor laws that are being implemented in the host country. So international labor law is a body of international legal norms which regulate the issues concerning the labor relations. So all the issues related to labor, like it can be wages, it can be disputes, conflicts, health and safety of the people, different standards that need to be maintained by the employer, all these are regulated through various international legal norms. So when talking about international labor laws, it covers both substantive rules as well as the national rules, procedural rules for the organization. Now when we talk about substantive rules, they are related to rules which are there implemented all over in the international level, and it can be implemented through various international labor norms or conventions, and which are designed by international labor organization. Then we have certain procedural rules, like these rules need to be followed whenever these procedures or processes are being done in the organization. Like for example, whenever hiring is done, it is important to see the age of the person. It should be at least more than 18 years of age, because we cannot in all the other countries we cannot hire people less than the age of 18 years. There are certain rules for people if they are working and they are less than the year of age, 18 years of age. So it becomes important for the organization that to follow this particular procedural rule about the age of the people in the organization. Now when labor laws is also focused on following 4 dimensions, and these dimensions need to be considered when the labor laws are to be understood in the organization. First one is subsidiary capabilities and resources. So now when we are talking about capabilities and resources, it means the type of skilled people, the type of people that are there in the organization, whether you are hiring temporary or you are hiring contractual people, you are hiring skilled, semi skilled or non skilled people, technical skilled people or managerial people. So laws are different for different classes of people. So you need to understand what are who are the people, what are the type of their classes in which they are to be divided, and according to the classes of people, the rules and regulations are to be implemented on these people. Second is worker structural power. Now structural power means how they are arranged in organization structure of the organization. Like if we talk about organization structure, we have a pyramid shape structure where a top level management is there, a middle level management is there, and a lower level management is there. So a different kind of rules will be applied to different levels of management, because of a number of reasons. Because when we talk about top management, they do have certain level of authority, but this authority is always related to responsibility. As we move down in the organization structure, the responsibility is lesser while authority is also lesser. So what kind of power, what kind of authority you are providing to the people in the organization, and how these people are exercising their power, their authority in the organization. Are they doing it in compliance with the different laws that are being governed? Like there can be the practices like red tapeism, favoritism, these should not be there. The practices like discrimination between the male and female workers, discrimination of wages should not be there. All these will be governed through structural power that the people are having, and of course the people at different levels of management should be aware of different laws that are needed to be governed on the organization. Lastly, we have workers association and associational power. Now associational power means sometimes it is there that the workers do not speak for themselves. They do not know, they are not aware of various rules, various rights that are there for to safeguard them from the employees. So for this they can go in for associations, different associations which can be formed with the help of trade unions. They can be the member of various trade unions, and what trade unions do in return, they make them aware about various rules, various rights that the workers have. And of course sometimes trade unions also fight for the workers, the needs and demands of the workers. So we can say that the trade union acts as a mediator between the employer and the employee, where it puts forward the various demands, the various grievances of the people, various grievances of the employees in front of the management, and management takes up all probable actions, all probable parts to solve these problems as far as possible. Because without the workers, the management is also helpless. The work is stopped, and due to which a loss can be occurred. So all these problems, the grievances of the workers should be solved at the first level by the management. Now when talking about labor relations, we have three elements which are directly related to labor relations in a organization. First one is conflict. Now conflict and its management is important in the organization. Now when we talk about conflict, it means difference of opinion, it means difference of understanding between the employees in the organization. Now why this conflict occurs in the organization? When organization doesn't want to understand the problems of the workers, and they imply various rules, various orders and instructions which the organization workers do not want to be implied, a conflict occurs. Sometimes conflict also occurs due to lack of awareness, lack of knowledge amongst the people. So this conflict at this level can be removed through giving them training, giving them awareness, giving them knowledge about the various policies that are there in the organization. Now conflict management is a practice of being able to identify and handle conflicts sensibly, fairly and efficiently. So when conflict is there, then conflict management should also be there. Now this particular department, conflict management, has to be understood, has to be taken up by human resources only, so as to reduce the conflict at a large level. And they need to handle, they need to identify conflicts before they take up a very wrong phase, a very harsh phase. And once you do it at an early stage, sensibly, fairly and efficiently, conflicts can lead to lesser losses for the organization. Since conflict is in a business is a natural part of the workplace, it is important that the people who are there, they need to understand why conflict is there and how far they will be able to resolve them. So if organization is not intervening and people are solving out their conflicts on their own, then there is no problem as such in the organization. But once this conflict is there amongst the people in the organization, and it is reflected in the work that they are doing in the organization, this conflict can take a phase of losses for the organization. Now conflict can be resolved through these following 5 points. Like it can be taken up through competing, like you can make two people compete with each other, you can bring them together and place their own opinions in front of each other and solve it as far as possible. Collaborating means two people need to be brought together and a third person will try to explain them that the difference is there, and this difference can be solved through this particular technique. Then avoiding, first we will take accommodating. Why? Because accommodating is a previous stage of avoiding, where accommodating means one of the party will try to compromise, will try to accommodate the opinion of the other, because in this the other party is of a stronger opinion, so party with a you can say a less stronger opinion has to accommodate the opinion of the stronger party. Then avoiding, if competing, collaborating, compromising and accommodating cannot work out, then at the last stage organization can go on for avoidance. If the two parties are not coming to a common solution, they can be kept apart, they can be working in two different projects, and they can be sent to two different you can say departments or different locations, so that the conflict can be resolved at a faster pace. Second is work and wage issues, work hour and wage issues. Now as far as concerned, hour and the wage issue is an important factor when we talk about labor relations, because talking about hour means the time limit that you will be working in an organization. Sometimes it is 7 hours, sometimes it can be more than this also. So if it is more than that particular shift, like more than 7 hours, how far the organization is making available the compensation that is being done for the overtime of the workers. A majority of wage and hour violations involve overtime compensation, or employers wrongly classify their employees as independent contractors. Now over here, when we talk about overtime compensation, it is directly related to the rule or the law of classes of workers. Now over here what happens, a major problem occurs when the organization wrongly classifies its employees. That is why classification of employees was important, that we discussed in the earlier stage. Now once you have classified your employees, the wage and hour has to be set up for these particular employees. Other wage issues involve forcing or coercing worker into working hours that they do not claim, such as working from home. Like if the people are working from home, you are not working, you are not paying proper wages to the workers who are working from home, and you are taking advantage of this particular situation that is there for every organization in the world. A class action wage and hour lawsuit in California is one in which a large number of employees with the same and similar grievances against their employer sue their employer collectively as a group. So this is an example that is coming from California. A class of workers, they have sued a particular organization in relation to wage and hour lawsuit in California. They say that this organization is not working according to the laws that are there related to the wages per hour, or wages per day, or wages per month, and it is also not deciding on the hours that they are needed to work for the organization. Failing to give employees required meal and rest break, and requiring them to work during their breaks. This is also a part that the organizations are violating, and they are not fixing any kind of rests or work hours and making them work during the breaks or rest hours also. So if the worker is working from home, the meal breaks or the rest breaks are required. So in those cases, the organizations are taking advantage that you are sitting at home, so you can work at any time sitting at home. So the number of hours you are working, or the number of breaks you are taking, this particular thing has become of no concern for the organization. Though if the person is working from home, then also he is continuously working, he is managing his work from home also, and he needs to be given this meal or rest break when working from home also. Then safety at workplace, a third most important concern that the HR has to take in relation to labor relations in the organization. So these are the occupational safety and health risks that every company has, and the different factors of these risks has to be reduced by the organization. So factors affecting workplace safety include unsafe working conditions, environmental hazards if they are there in the organization, substance abuse, and workplace violence. For example, employees working in the IT company may have to work with faulty wires and electronics. Now, in this particular example, it becomes important for the organization to properly maintain and check from time to time that different kind of maintenance work is performed in the IT company, which has been ignored by the people, which has been ignored by the organization to a large extent. So this is important if there is a work going on in your organization, whether related to manufacturing or whether related to other operations of the organization, the different maintenance part, the safety parts of the organization needs to be checked out. Safety can be increased by training employees well. When you want to increase the safety in the organization and decrease the probability of accidents in the organization, you need to train people continuously. So that means the people working on various machines, people working in various departments should be aware that when and why the maintenance part, when and why the safety parts have to be taken care of. So it becomes the responsibility of the employees also that they inform the management timely, so that the different maintenance, the different repair work or any kind of replacement work is, if it is required, can be done in time. Rewarding employees for safe behavior can also be helpful. So if you are setting up policies for safe behavior of the employees, people will work more cautiously in the organization, so that more and more safety measures are being taken up, and the chances and risk of accidents are reduced. Partner with occupational clinicians. Now you can set up a partnership with different organizational clinicians who can come in your organization from time to time and they can inspect your workplace for different loopholes, and after inspection they can give a suggestive report that these particular parts of the organization needs to be repaired, needs to be maintained. So with this also, timely visit of these occupational clinicians can also help the organization to maintain the different parts of the departments. Then you can use labels and signs. You can use the label of fire, you can use a label of how you can use the lifts. All these label and signs will help the people furthermore that how different equipments, different materials, different machines in the organizations are to be used. Furthermore, you have to make sure that the employees are having the right tools and have regular equipment inspections in the organization. Then encouraging stretch works. Now you cannot make people work for longer period of times, which may result in fatigue. Fatigued people may again cause accidents in the organization. So if they are working in a stretch, a kind of break needs to be there. So the organization has to decide how many breaks are to be there and what are the duration of each break in the organization. Then implementing all the safety protocols from the start. That means now these protocols are being given in health and safety rules of the Factories Act also, and they are to be implemented for each and every organization, because these protocols, if not followed, may result into accidents in the organization. Now coming on to industrial relation issues in the MNCs. The very first issue is who should handle labor relations, headquarter or subsidiary company in the concerned country. Now why this issue is there? Because sometimes what happens, the people think that the parent company is different from the subsidiary company. Why? Because parent company is working in the home environment, home country environment, while subsidiary company is working in the host country environment, where a lot number of external factors different from the home country are working. Like we have talked about political factor, economic factor, we have talked about the cultural difference factor that is there in the host country. So now over here, who would be responsible to handle the labor relations if they are there in the organization? So if it is this has to be decided by the organization, because if there is a discrepancy that who will solve out the various labor relation problem in the organization, whether the person will be from the parent company or whether the person will be from the subsidiary company, then there will be always a confusion, and the decisions or the proper implementation of policies will not take place at the right time. So over here, what MNCs do, they typically decide to delegate power to the subsidiary companies, foreign subsidiaries, that this and delegation of this power to the people in the subsidiary will further help to identify the person who will be taking responsibility of various labor relations in the subsidiary company. So national dissimilarities in economic, political and legal systems create diverse legal relations system across the country. So MNC headquarters typically delegate the control over labor relations to their foreign subsidiaries. If they do not delegate, what will happen? For every decision, that the subsidiary will have to ask for the host country or the parent country. Now these decisions can be delayed, and ultimately it may lead to certain losses to the organization. So delegation will help in faster decisions of the organization, and the various disputes, various conflicts will be solved at a earliest in the organization. Participation of MNCs in headquarters in the host country labor relations is impacted by 4 key elements. In case there is high level of inter-subsidiary production, labor relation functions are centralized and they are coordinated by the headquarter. The nationality of the ownership of the subsidiary has its own influence, and over here it will be decided by the organization who would be taking care of employee relations. Now if we talk about subsidiary character, has a bearing on who should deal with the employee relations. Finally, when subsidiary is a dependent on its parent company, over there it is important that the greater corporate involvement is there from the end of home country itself. Second issue is trade union tactics. Trade unions are always there in the organization. The most common issue is putting up a strike, which is a concerted or temporary suspension of work intended to put pressure on the employer. So if unions should be very cautious prior to resorting to strike in an international scenario. Why? Because the bargaining power of unions could possibly threatened by the financial resources of the MNC. Further, a form of international trade secretariats, that is ITS. There are 15 ITS who help exchange of information. The main objective of ITS is to accomplish transactional bargaining with the MNCs. The third issue is political issues, the rules and regulations that are being made up by the government of the host country. There is little doubt that the national industrial relations system continue to be greatly different. The dissimilarities in national industrial relations are also mirrored in the structure, power and status of the individuals in the system. For example, trade unions maintain a comparatively strong position in the Scandinavian IR model, where their role is a lot more than in US context. So if trade unions are strong enough, more and more power of the workers will be increased, and as far as power of workers will increase, they will have more bargaining power as against their employers. Fourth is social and identity. A key problem with the international labor movement is that the people are not being given the identity in the society. Additionally, peak association are also a lot more conservative than the activists at the lower level. So associated with this point, there is a common lack of solidarity between the actors at a national level. So there is a need to bring about unity of the society and unity of the culture when working in the host environment. Additionally, there are economic, cultural, social and language differences among individuals in the different countries, which result furthermore in the lowering of the degree of the shared identity between the workers on an international level. The last issue that we have is the power and the knowledge of the workers. While labor's power continues to be local in scope, capital has grown to become more global in nature, and decisions affecting workers are increasingly being made in a supranational level. The locus of multinational decisions making stretches beyond the national borders, and the key fact that there is seldom transparency and accessibility in the trade unions that are there. The well rehearsed point that multinational organizations can encounter is the strength of the local unions. So if the strength of the local union is more, they are having more power in the as compared to the employers, employers can be put up in more pressure so as to follow the different rules that are being set up by the governments or the political parties. And a threatening can come to move manufacturing to another place, so that they can maneuver out trade unions, and following threats of industrial actions is significant. Thank you so much.